tonight we're going to have John Wetmore jump on our call and show everyone what he does best. And really, I tell you what, John simplifies everything. He makes it, I think, easy for anyone to understand. And he really just breaks down the numbers. You know, every single day I hear people call, they'll complain, they'll whine, they'll cry about what's going on. But I think when you look at the way that John teaches, the way that John trains, he makes it very simple. I think when I first heard him train and understood that, he looked at his numbers and really broke it down to the dial. You know, a lot of people, they don't want to dial the phone, but if you're making, 40, 50, $100 a dial, how many dials would you make a day? So I'm excited for him to come on. I hope he goes through his tracker Kendall and I were talking about at the beginning, because it definitely makes things super, super easy. When I started using the old way, the ticker sheet, I started seeing when I would say I was working all day and I would look at that sheet and I didn't make the number of dials that I thought I made. I think it just makes things really, really easy when you start to understand your numbers. So I'll turn it over to you, John.
My dude, I appreciate it. We can go through whatever the hell you want because, as you know, they don't know this. We didn't prep at all. We were just like, "Yo, can you get on a call?" I'm like, "Shit, let's do it." So we can do whatever helps people win, bro. Um, I think for me, for those that don't know, I'm definitely a numbers nerd.
Recording in progress.
Ooh, that was crazy. Did y'all hear that echo like I did? That was wild. It
Fix
was
that.
like you did it inside of a canyon.
That's
Oh, I see two of you too. You're on here twice, file. What the hell? Um, yeah, you see a frozen one of him,
yeah,
Stan?
that's weird.
Yeah, yeah, you're on there frozen too, and you echoed for some reason. Anyway, I think, for me, long term, and I recognize a lot of faces on here, so I'll do my best to not repeat a lot of the stuff that I just believe in concept, but I think the biggest two things. One, when I started tracking numbers, and I do this when I'm coaching people a lot. I was speaking to a guy this morning that got on, and he's been selling a little bit of insurance, but he's just trying to hit a new level, and he's stuck at kind of that 15K a month sort of clip, and can't figure out how to get past it. And the first thing I had him do was send me his numbers for the first 4 months of the year. I'm like, send what you can, and I get on the call with him and he's scrambling to put the numbers together literally last second on a piece of paper because he doesn't have anything organized in which he tracks stuff. But he did throw some stuff together, and I had him text it to me, which I might share. I'll actually share my screen so I can show you this thing. Let me share a file if you can. Um, and he sends it over to me, and he gives me his numbers for the year. And I said, did you learn anything during this exercise of putting your numbers together? And he goes, I don't dial nearly as much as I thought I did. You know,
Right
and
now.
every time, thanks, bro. Every time I talk to someone and I really break down their numbers, this guy's from the year. Every time I have someone do this, it puts into perspective. And I used to have the same problem. It felt like I was doing way more activity than I really was, especially when I compare it to like how open the calendar is. This guy's, y'all can see that, right? File or Kendall?
Yeah, I can see it.
I only see a couple of y'all on the
Yeah, we
screen right
see
now
it. We see
because
it.
of sharing. This dude's written 90 grand for the year, call it 61 policies. He did his average 1,474 policy. He dialed on only 42 days and he's made 2,300 phone calls for the year and 317 pickups. And when I asked him to send it to me, he knew I was sending it to him to set him up for something. He just didn't know exactly what. And where I started was like 2,300 phone calls divided by 42 days. It only comes out, I think the math is like 55 phone calls a day on his dial days. And I was like, yeah. And in his head, dude, he thought he dials all day and doesn't have certain results. You know what I mean? He's like, he's not happy with his result at all. And then I started looking at it and I'm like, well, 42 days, do you know how many there have been in the year so far? And we can be really simple and go, it's 30 days and there's 4 months, call it in the ballpark of 110, 100, 120 days so far. I'm like, and you only prospected on 40 of them, 42 of them. So like 1/3 of the year so far, you know? And I'm like, So my ultimate question to you is like, what do you actually fucking do all day? Because it ain't this, and I don't mean that meanly. I just want to understand, where does your time go? Because on the days you first of all, you only do this on a third of the days. And anyone that's like, well, I get that, but I work a lot more. I challenge you to track your numbers. I've done numbers with 4 people today. 3 of them used the tracker, one gave it to me on a piece of paper. Every single one of them, when we break down their time, they were uber fucking part-time on how much they do this. I was like, good news is you're actually really good at this. I was like, no offense, 2,300 phone calls. Again, if it took you 4 months to do that, that's only like 600 a week if you did it in a month. You could do 600 in 1 week, 1,200 be 2 weeks, 2,400 over the course of 4 weeks. I was like, imagine if instead of taking 4 months to do that many phone calls, you did it in May. Like, what if in May you make 2,300 phone calls? Again, not let your lighting the world on fire, but what if? He goes, shit. Then I could write 89 grand in a month instead of 4. I was like, I'm glad you picked up what I was putting down, bro. It's like just leading him to where he's at. And we just started kind of going through stuff. And it's like, I don't know. I think so many people, this dude included, and if I look back at mine, I remember going through it. Like, when you don't have a lot of activity in a day, we can convince ourselves that a lot of something negative is happening. A lot of people hung up. A lot of people said no. A lot of leads told me to fuck off today. File, can I get a credit, bro? These leads suck. My batch this week sucked. And for me, I've learned, like, I don't know, if you look at how many times do you actually present your product to the world in a week, like as a professional salesperson, how many times a week do you fully present your product to someone in the world? Dude, there's very few people, File, when I do this, that are doing it even 20 or 30 times in a week, like a full presentation of your product to someone. And then we say things like, a lot of people told me to kick rocks this week. A lot of people had disconnected numbers. A lot of people were busy. A lot of people told me no. And then I'm like, well, how many exactly? We start breaking down numbers, and it's like, well, I don't know, like at least 10 today.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, all right, if you had $10, would you have a lot of money? Well, no. Okay, so 10 is not a lot of anything. That's not a big number. So sometimes the words that come out of our mouth make it seem like I've talked to 6.3 million people and they told me no today. Can you solve that, Kendall?
If I take it apart, yeah.
Ah, stupid. I got mine. Hold on. Oh, wait, hold on. Let's see. Sorry, I get sidetracked in a second. I keep mine with me.
Hey, I'm gonna get it though.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get
I
it.
learned how to do it like a year and a half ago.
Yeah, it's a system.
Yeah, that's why I learned how to do it, because it's literally step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6, step 7, step 8, and you can solve it. If you just learn the 8 steps, these are actually really fucking easy. And for me, File, I look at this business very similar. It's like just step 1, have enough fucking people to call. Why? Nothing else works if you don't have a lot of people to call. None of the rest of the plan works, And it's like, again, for me, I think that people misunderstand and don't put the right amount of time into their calendar to get the reps. They don't know their numbers. They don't know how many phone calls it takes to get someone to answer. They don't know how many answers it takes to get someone to listen to them and be presented to. They don't know how many presentations it takes for them to be able to close a deal. They're just like literally winging it. And I'm like, imagine anything else that wasn't tracked. I don't know. There's a lot of dudes in here, a lot of ladies too, but it's like, for those of you that understand sports, imagine they didn't track stats in sports. They didn't keep track of the score. They didn't keep track of the yards or the pitches or the home runs or the hits. They didn't track anything. They just don't keep track of shit. It's like, all right, game tonight. Well, who's in first? I don't know. We don't keep track of that shit. Who's going to make the playoffs? No clue. We don't keep up with that. You know what I mean? Like, How's he doing for the year? I don't know. Hey, how many strikes is it? We don't keep up with strikes and balls. Like, who knows? We just a lot of pitches get thrown today, and hopefully we win. You know what I mean? It's like, well, if you don't keep track of the score, how do you know who won? I don't know. We just kind of go based on our emotions at the end of the day. And if we feel good, we had a good day, we had a good game. It'd be really stupid. And you again, Matt, for those of you that don't understand sports and you're like, well, that sounds cool, but I don't do sports. I don't know. Imagine for school, they didn't keep track of scores on tests and grades. They don't keep track of anything. You just go to school every day and there's no scores, there's no grades. They don't keep up with nothing that happens, no GPAs, no nothing. Your kid comes home at the end of the day. How'd you do? I don't know. How'd you do on your test? Don't know. Teacher doesn't score it. You know what I mean? They don't keep track of absences and how many, like it would make zero sense. And in every business known to man, they keep track of stuff. I was taught how to do it file when I was 16 years old, dude, working at Little Caesars. I had this little clipboard they hung on the side of the wall, and every night I had to track stuff. How many pizzas we sold, how many like pepperoni, we'd weigh out the pepperoni, how many bags of flour there are, all the things. I had to track everything. I had to count how many bottles of Pepsi were in the fridge at the end of the night. Why? Dude, they had to do inventory. So they knew how many to order and they had to match it with their register and how many I said we rang up and how much cash was deposited to make sure it all maths. And so I don't know, dude. For me, I don't know anything but tracking. I don't understand how you focus without knowing what you're shooting for. And for me, I always joke with my crew, whoever I'm working with at the time, like this is such an easy game if you play it the right way. And most of y'all are just playing it just for fun outside and not keeping track of anything. And you just go based on straight emotions. And when your result isn't that big, your emotions are going to tell you that this is hard and it sucks. But if I take a guy like the one I just showed you and I go, why did it take you 4 months to do what I could do in 4 weeks? There's no right or wrong answer. I'm just asking the question. Why can you not do it at a quicker pace? And he just didn't understand his numbers at all. He had no earthly idea how many phone calls it took. I'm going to share my thing, dude, since you asked. So this is the little tracker I built, and I built this bitch for me, and now the whole world wants it. So we're trying to make it work for the world. And File can relate to this more than anybody. When you start building stuff for people to use, there's fucking problems all day, every day.
It is.
So,
When I saw this though, as soon as I saw it though, my eyes lit up because I know what you've always preached. And I was like, now it's on this and anyone can do it. So
yeah. So like this is just a little dashboard. It just summarizes. I haven't really sold. I haven't been on the phones this week. I literally haven't. I've traveled so much in April, and somehow this is just personal production. So for those of you that think this is anything else, I've put 15 grand in the bank this week, and I haven't sold in like 2 weeks. And I've put 49 grand in my account in April from personal production, advance money only.
wow.
And I literally, dude, I haven't hardly worked in April just because I had so much in the pipeline. And I knew that I had a lot of travel, I had a lot of business, I had a lot of going on this month. So I front loaded the earlier part of the year. But what I want to share with people is if I go to, I'm going to give you well, there's lots of things you can track in here. I'm going to keep it really simple. So for me, every day I go in and I look at the end of the day, I keep track of my stuff on like a little dial tracker. We all use them. You can download one literally right here if you use this tracker. And you just if you're interested in this, just go to tracker.johnwetmore.com. Tracking your dials is free. There's a free version. You can track your shit for the rest of the time. There's no charge. If you want some of the upgraded stuff, it costs us money to run it. There's a small fee, $47 if you want to use some of the fancy stuff. But you can literally track this thing. You can track your numbers. There's literally no charge to keep up with your numbers. I've given out my Excel tracker. I'm sure someone in here has probably used my Excel tracker over the years. I've given it out for 10 years. This is the Excel tracker on the web. That's all I did is I was tired of giving out the Excel thing. And I'm like, let me just build it online. Let me use this for my team. But every day at the end of the day, when I'm done making phone calls, I just click this little button and I put in how many phone calls I made today and I hit save. And I do that every day. And then over the course of time, it keeps up with my numbers. Right. And so this shows me a full month. It shows me which days I dialed, how many dials, how many contacts, how many appointments, yada, yada. It just kind of keeps up with daily stats. This is for the month of March. So you can see I made 2,000 phone calls in the month of March. I had 132 people pick up, which means over 2,000 of my phone calls did not answer. I made 2,100 phone calls. I only spoke to 132 people. Okay. I presented to 52 and I wrote 35 apps. I think I submitted for, it's a different page, but I think I did 48K in March, on 93% of people not picking up the phone. So anyway, you keep track of your dials. You can put clients in this thing. So and I'm going to share my real stuff. So I can put like all my client stuff. I can put in a new sale, mark it in, and it keeps track of my sales. So I can also go in and when I get paid, I can put in here when I got paid. So it keeps up with my deposits and shit too. So I know which clients I've written that I haven't got yet paid on. I know a lot of agents don't keep track of like when they should be getting commissions, when they're getting paid. I literally know exactly what I'm getting paid, the day I'm getting paid, and whether or not I've been paid. So I keep up with that stuff. And for those of you that everybody wants to know my phone script. I think phone scripts, no offense to anybody who uses them. Keep using them if you're selling. I hate phone scripts. I can't stand them. I don't understand them. Agents want to read through a process and they think every phone call is going to go verbatim, word for word, like it's a movie. And I'm like, it doesn't work like a movie. You don't get to read your script and then the person on the other end read the exact thing that you think they're going to. It just doesn't work that way. But I have a very intentional structure. I have 6 steps that I'm trying to accomplish when I'm speaking to someone, and I follow through these 6 steps in exact in order. If you want to see what I say when I say it, it's literally verbatim on here with videos that you can click on, and you'll see a video of me saying the thing live to clients. So my team is building this. The whole thing doesn't have videos yet, but the entire thing has verbatim what I say on a call. Lots of word tracks, lots of important questions, the way I discover things, the way I move people, all the things. You will not find a script. There's no printout. What exactly does John say? Because if I have 132 phone calls, conversations in a month, they're all going to vary slightly one from the other. But they go in the same order of structure. I'm trying to accomplish the same things. So all that's in here. We can cover that down the road if you'd like. What I really want to share is numbers. And then I'll open it up and I can go over whatever you guys want. So if I go on my analytics page and I click on year to date, this is what I've done for the year. And keep in mind, I sell insurance very part-time. I run an agency, I run a lot of events, I do I do a lot, I get a lot of shit going on. I travel. I haven't sold full-time in 10 years. And I got sick of hearing people say that telesales was hard. And other people say that there's no money in final expense. It frustrates me when people say stupid things. So instead of like continuing to talk about it, I was like, let me just go show the world. And I'll do it live. I'll do it on Discord. I'll do it on my YouTube. I'll tell you exact leads I'm buying. I'll tell you exactly my numbers. I'll tell you exactly how to print fucking money and show you that I'm doing it. So I picked up the phone starting in like October. Had to figure out all the thing with PIN numbers and text codes and all the weird shit I've never done in my career. So that was kind of a disaster learning, but I had a lot of fun figuring it out. And those of you that watch the content, you see some of the crazy conversations that you all have as well that I'm just sharing that we all kind of do the same thing. But year to date so far, and again, I've barely dialed in April. Yeah, I'll actually show you how much I've worked in April. I've made 82 phone calls in April, just to be clear. I've like not worked in April and I've written $5,000. I've barely worked in April. So my year to date is really January to March for the most part. I made 6,000 phone calls this year. I spoke to 452 people. I'm going to skip appointments. Of the 452 people, I presented to 177 of them. I'll answer your questions in just a minute, Manisha. Hopefully I'm saying it right. I presented, and y'all can see the clean, right? Make sure I'm not talking. She's not trying to tell me like I can't see shit. So presented to 177 people. I've written 112 apps, and that combined is 281 hours of time spent prospecting and presenting. I give myself credit for 1 minute per phone call and 1 hour per presentation. So I spent 289 hours over the course of 4 months. So if really 3 months, I'll go 289 divided by 3. It's 96 hours a month divided by 4. I'm spending 24 hours a week doing this for a living. That's how you get to 289 hours over the course of 3 months. Anyway, with that said, 6,000 phone calls, 452 contacts, 177 presentations, 112 sales. I've written 160K in AP in 3 months and whatever 82 phone calls is. The tracker kind of totals everything by month, all good. It tells me what I've spent, what I've made, yada, yada. I'm going to give you some of my stats. Only 7.5% of my phone calls answer the phone. Again, 6,056 phone calls, only 452 answered. So 5,500 plus people that John Wetmore called, I just listened to the ringtone, the dial tone, whatever you want to call it, got voicemail. No answer, 5,500 times this year. So when you guys go, a lot of people don't pick up. Yeah, no shit. We're aware. We know how the game works. No one's confused on this side. Somehow, a lot of agents think like they make 6,000 phone calls, they're supposed to talk to 7,000 people. I'm like, that's definitely not how it works.
That's it.
You know, 93% of my phone calls, no one answers. 50% of my leads never pick up the phone ever. Ever, 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 ever do half my leads ever pick up. I never get them to answer the phone. So we'll walk through stats. 7.5% contact rate. I present to call it 40% of the people that pick up. So if 10 people answer the phone, John Wetmore's presenting to 4 of them. So if 100 people pick up, I'm presenting to 40. If 1,000 people pick up, I'm presenting to 400. It's just what my numbers are. I close 63%. So if I present to 10, I'm writing 6 apps. It's just now. I want to share 2 things. Number 1, John Wetmore has 0 advantages dialing. None. 0 whatsoever. I have no advantage over you. So we're playing the same game there, right? They don't know like, hey, that guy from YouTube's calling. We should answer. Nobody gives a shit that I'm calling them. My number shows up as spam. My number shows up as all kinds of crazy shit. Sometimes it shows up as my name. Sometimes it shows up as Wetmore Enterprises. Sometimes it shows up as Wetmore Rentals because I have multiple businesses. Mine gets showed up unknown and marked as spam all the time too. I hear all of the above. 97.3, meaning if I write an app, 97% of the applications I write get approved on the spot. I don't send shit to underwriting to be pending. If I write an app, it's getting approved right now. I just don't sell other stuff. Maybe 3-4 times all year. Immediate draft, 27% of my policies pay today. So for those of you that can't figure out how to get people to do anything but pay next month, you're just doing it wrong. That's also in the script structure stuff. And I'm at 82% persistency. So my shit stays on the books too. Now, my favorite parts of this thing. On average, when I take into account 6,000 phone calls and I've written 112 apps, that means on average, when you use the law of large numbers, 6,000 is a decent sized number. Most people in here, I said, if I gave you $6,000, would you say I gave you a lot of money? Now we can probably use the word a lot. I've made a lot of phone calls relative to most people this year. On average, every 54 phone calls, I make a sale. So if I'm on a streak where I have 250 phone calls and no one's picked up and 22 people told me to F off, bro, I know I'm about to go on a run file. I'm about to close some apps. Why, dude? On average, I never hit 200 without making a sale. It's just not where I'm at. So again, I don't have any advantage dialing. Now, when they pick up, I apologize. I'm pretty fucking good at this. Like I've been in this 15 years. When they pick up, I'm good. So maybe my number's better than yours when it comes to pickups, but I guarantee you, and I've compared my numbers to a lot of people, I bet I also have way more phone calls than everybody in this room. Most people in this room. You know? And again, I'm admittedly sell insurance part-time. I don't have to be doing it. So 54 phone calls on average, I make a sale. So if I ask you, on average, how many phone calls does it take you to make a sale? I guarantee you most people in here have to make up a number because they have no earthly idea, right? It takes me 4 pickups to make a sale. So if I talk to 4 people, I'm making a sale on average. So meaning, again, if I go on a streak where I've talked to 10 people and I'm like, oh my God, no one's buying. I know my averages are about to average and I'm going to go on a little bit of a run where maybe I make 2 or 3 sales talking to 3 or 4 people. Sometimes that happens, you know? Every 34 phone calls, I make a presentation. And every 1.5 presentations, I make a sale. So for me, I can reverse engineer everything. I've written 160 grand. My average sale is 1,400 bucks. I've deposited 128 grand just in advance money, personal production only. That's the only thing in that number. I've spent 21 grand in leads this year. 100% of it's been goat leads. I was toying with some other stuff last year just to try different things and show I can sell on any kind of lead. But honestly, just this year, File makes it so easy. I don't buy shit else. It's on auto. It's really easy to work. I typically get 50 to 75 premium final expense a week, and I get 25 premium vet a week. The overwhelming majority of my leads are just regular final expense leads. Nothing fancy. Again, I go with premium because why not? File said they close at a higher rate than the other leads. So I listen and just buy premium. I've made a 506% return on my leads. You know, now some of the things I like to see also, and for me, I'm a big activity guy. I think activity equals money for me. Like activity equals money. Where most agents get messed up is all the noise between the initial activity and the deposit. The gap in between activity and money frustrates people. The no sales, the missed calls, the hangups, the chargebacks, all the noise that we all dislike, right? And so in my head, I didn't like that stuff either. So one day I learned how to take how much I deposit versus how much I do and divide one by the other. And so I know I sell $26 in premium on average for every phone call I make. So when someone hangs up on me, I don't care because I make 26 bucks for that phone call. When I call and the lead is disconnected, I still make 26 bucks. I don't have the energy to go dispute a $15 lead when I made $26 calling it. I just don't care. Every phone call on average equals 26 bucks for me. Now, when I was new, it wasn't that high. And for years, I probably should have done it first, but for years, Jesse, I have asked people in trainings. I usually set people up. I like to do that first. Right? And I go, hey, if I gave you $1 per phone call, $1, John Wetmore is going to wire you every evening, cash to your bank account, $1 for every phone call you make. What time would you start making phone calls? When would you take breaks? How late would you dial? Would you care what anyone said when they picked up? If I just paid you per phone call, would you take the time to complain to Mike that the leads suck? Would you take 10 minutes to text him if I paid you a dollar a phone call and you could just make 10 more dollars in 10 minutes versus text him and bitch about something? You know what I mean? Would you take a break between I'm frustrated, I'm having a bad day, I just need some mental time to myself and take 2 hours to breathe? If I was paying you $1 per phone call every time you made a phone call, would you do any of that stuff? And the answer for me, when I discovered this concept in 2014, in my book, I wrote about the whole thing in detail. I just decided that I no longer cared about the exact outcome of that individual phone call because I knew what the averages meant. And I knew if I did the work and put in the activity, the averages were going to put money in my bank account. And that was inclusive of all the stuff. This number is inclusive of chargebacks. Number is inclusive of missed sales. It's inclusive of someone literally telling me to kick rocks. Activity equals money. And all that noise in the middle turns noise in between the middle of your head, and it makes you stop doing activity. And people make less money because of that. I know that every person that answers the phone, on average, that's 354 bucks to me. Do I care, bro, if they tell me to fuck off? Dude, they picked up, I made 354 bucks. What do I care? Now, do I prefer they tell me to fuck off? No, I prefer they don't. But I know that's part of the game. No difference than Maddox plays baseball, dude, and sometimes the pitcher hits him in the freaking arm, and it hurts, but he gets on base. Sometimes you pop out, sometimes things happen. And so for me, every time someone picks up, I know that equals $354 for me. I'm going to skip the appointment because I think sometimes I book appointments, sometimes text. I'm just going to ignore that. I also count one call closes as appointments, but ignore it. Every time I sell a policy, it's $905 on average for every presentation. Every time I present to a client, if I present, it's $900. Doesn't matter if I miss the sale or not. Now it matters because I want to get better and I want to close deals. But when I do averages, activity equals money, presentations equal $900 for me. I can't get presentations if I don't get pickups. I can't get pickups if I don't do a lot of phone calls. I can't do a lot of phone calls if I don't have enough leads. So if you want to make $900 or $200 or $300 or $400 or $500 or whatever your number is, that's the unknown to you today, it has to start at the top, and we have to trickle down. So I get to see, I can see exactly how much I've sold on each lead type. I can see exactly how much I've sold on each carrier, each appointment type by day of the week. You can sell 7 days a week. And this thing just comes by me putting in my sales when I make a sale and my activity at the end of the day. I take 5 seconds and enter it. I do those two things, enter activity, enter sales clients when I sell one. And then obviously I put in my deposits. And at the end of 3 months, I have analytics that dude, no one has. No one has this shit, And for me, File, I built this. I manage my whole team in here. So if I want to go in and see, I can actually see anyone who's in here. I don't know who in here, if someone in here uses it. But I can literally, if I want to pull up an agent, and we have an agency version here, but if I want to pull up somebody else's analytics, I can pull up Giovanni in my group. He's made 6,500 phone calls, written 96 grand in premium. I can go look at how much he makes per phone call. Giovanni makes $14 a phone call. It's just a dude on my team. I can go and pull up Daryl. This guy's brand new. He's made 11,000 phone calls this year to make 76 grand. He's not quite as good as I am. He's been in the business 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was a little bit of a train wreck, but I can go down to his. He still makes $7 every time he makes a phone call. He wrote $48,000 in March, and he only makes $7 compared to my 27. But he understands his numbers. He makes more phone calls. He's making only $6.86 a phone call, but he wrote $48,000 in March. And he's honest, quite frankly, kind of sucks. He's not really that good. He closes at 46%. Only 13% of his immediate draft. So now I can look at him and go, all right, where can he get better? He outworks most people because I didn't mean to click that. He's making 11,000 phone calls, right? But I can look at his stuff. Pull up Daryl again. I can look at his stuff and go, all right, where can I help him get better? All right, I can teach him to close a little bit better. Got it. I can look at all kinds of stuff and see where can I get better. His average, let me see what his average premium is. His average premium is $1,100. Mine's $1,600. I can probably help him get bigger premium. Why? He's probably not showing enough value. He's probably not showing prices high to low. He's probably timid showing big price. There's something here. Again, immediate draft 13%. He's probably scared shit to ask people if they want coverage today. He's probably going, hey, what day do you want your payment to come out? And they're asking that, right? I can start tweaking the way he presents and speaks to people, Kendall, because I can see his numbers. He can't lie. He can think and feel anything he wants, but I can look at it and see reality. And Amy will remember back in the day, she's the only one in here. Let me think. What year did you start, Amy? You saw me sell. We were in the field together at the same time. Very few people have seen me actually sell prior to this year.
Yeah, licensed end of 2014, but 20.
Yeah. Okay, so you saw me start up sucking. You actually saw the whole journey. But if you remember back in the day in the office, remember I used to do all those Excel spreadsheets, and I used to have you guys do all your numbers to me, and I'd put it on Excel, and I would show everybody this because I would nerd out on spreadsheets all day long. Now I just fucking put it in here. Everybody puts their numbers. I don't have to nerd out. I've been doing numbers like this for my team for 10 years, 12 years. I can remember being back in 2014, 2015, sitting at the front of the training room showing Amy hey, because she used to be pissed, bro. This chick couldn't close. She would be foul. She'd drive to Tennessee and come back all frustrated that she didn't make enough money, this, that, and the other. And we would just start looking at stats. And I remember having to show her, like, here's how much you make per sale. Here's how many appointments it takes you. And just going through this stuff with my whole team and opening their eyes. And what I love about this file is I can actually find, I wonder if I'm going to show you an example. I can actually find sometimes, if I look at, this is one of my favorite things to do. Let me see if I pull mine up. Let me clear back to mine year to date. If I find, I can compare people. So if I go and I compare, like, I don't know, I can take someone like who do I want to take? This guy versus that guy, and I can compare the two of them. And I can look like, what's Daryl doing compared to what Craig's doing, right? And I can go, look, Craig actually makes $11 per phone call. Daryl only makes $6.
Wow.
Craig's AP per sale is basically the same as Daryl's. Why did Daryl sell 70 grand versus Craig 26 grand? Daryl's almost twice as good. He makes twice as much per phone call. But look at the difference. Daryl's done 11,000 phone calls this year. Craig has only done 2,300. Craig's actually better at selling than Daryl. He's a better sales guy. Daryl just works harder. Period. You know what I mean? And that's why I love this thing, dude, because it continues to prove over and over and over again how much of a numbers game this thing is. You know, and people get all in their head and in their feelings about all the other things. And I'm like, no offense, if you knew what the numbers were and you played the game the right way, you would no longer have the same emotional feelings every day that you currently do, because you would understand what the activity is doing. It would mean something to you. It would be productive even when it's productive. Again, I make money every phone call. I don't need to stress out over sales, because I know when I do the sales, when I do the phone calls, the sales are coming. It's just the flip side of the coin. I make phone calls, sales happen. The question is, how many of these equal one of these? And if you knew that math day in and day out, it's not so emotional. You know, and again, in fact, bad days, quote unquote, instead of being pissed off about them. Now, again, do I prefer great days? Obviously, I'd rather have a bunch of closings. But if I close a bunch in one day, I'm not confused what that means. It means I now have to go through a run where I don't close as many. Why? Because the average still have to average. So people get so excited about a big day, and I'm like, yo, buckle the fuck up. A bad day is coming in your head. So for me, I remove all that roller coaster of emotions. Activity equals money. So if I make 100 phone calls today, I know I make $2,600. If I make 1,000 phone calls this week, I know I make $26,000. That's just what the math is for me. So I can literally reverse engineer. And I did it with a new agent, brand new agent. He's 30 days in. He's written like right at around 50 grand so far. And he just started in the business. And he last week took this numbers. Actually, I'll show you his numbers. Let me pull up his. Let's look at this dude. This dude, Nick, year to date. So he wrote 48 grand. He's only been with us a month. He's written 48 grand. He's only made 4,000 total phone calls. He mapped out how to do $1 million this year after 30 days on the tracker. He's like, got my numbers. I know exactly what I do. And he took a piece of paper and he took a calculator and he mapped out how he's going to go make $1 million. It was sell $1 million in premium. You know, he literally just took his numbers. And he's at $11 a phone call. And he mapped out how to do $1 million this year. And he's fired up out of his mind about it because he's like, got it. It's just a numbers game. Here's the numbers I have to hit. And he did the math. It's like $3,000 a day, which for him is 3 apps a day. And to do 3 apps a day, he has to make X amount of phone calls a day. And he's like, I have to work 320 days out of the year, out of 365. I make so many phone calls. I get so many pickups. I make so many presentations. I'm going to do $1 million in the next 12 months. And he's, I don't know, 24, and literally just mapped out his path to $1 million. doing that stuff. Oh, I know. I'm sorry. I stopped sharing it. My bad. I was over there talking about this guy's thing. I'll share it back. I didn't realize it wasn't on his. This guy here, Nick. He's done 48 grand. He's been with me he started in March. So maybe like 5 weeks. And he just took his numbers. Again, he's making 11 bucks a phone call. He's earning 48 grand ever. He spent 12 grand in leads. Close rates 50. He's actually decent at closing. He was in some kind of marketing thing before. So he's not necessarily new to talking to people. And he knows how many phone calls now he has to make to go do $1 million. So it's like, where do you want to be in life? How much do you want to make? If you understand your numbers, you can literally reverse engineer this thing. And if you guys are confused at all the people you see on stages and on events that are printing money and getting awards for doing crazy numbers, I promise you, they're just outworking you. Now, again, are there skill set things to attain? Yeah, dude, we should get better at our career. We should study our craft. We should train. And obviously y'all are on this to get better. We should go through those things where we try to better ourselves at our career every day and get better at asking questions and get better at presenting and get better in certain different scenarios and things that happen and how to speak to different kinds of people that have different mentalities and attitudes and backgrounds and personalities. You should get better at all that stuff. But that shit is hard. That stuff takes years to develop. To figure out what your number is and go do a lot more activity tomorrow than today, y'all can do that right now. You can flip that switch today. And that's the beauty of my journey is, again, Amy was here for this part of it. I was only writing, selling like 10, 12 grand a month in 2014. I wasn't doing shit. And when I figured this out and I connected the dots, I was like, dude, I need to make 250 grand. I turned this concept on for me in like February, at the end of mid-February of 2015. And that year I went out and sold 468K. Just being this, and I had been in the industry for fucking 3 years at that point. And I was only selling 12 grand a month, and just taking this concept and going, all right, how do I reverse engineer it? How do I go hit this number? And then I just chased one number all year and it was activity, so I'll take a breath there and we can do whatever you want now, File. If you want to take questions or.
I'm sure people have a bunch of questions. Someone had their hand up first. Manisha?
Yeah, it was a lady. Where is she?
Manisha.
Hey guys, so our first time logging in, loving everything you're sharing. Thank you.
Absolutely.
We would love to be a part of this and learn from you guys and be the best at it. We've been in the retail for about 30 years. I love hearing what I'm hearing. How can I learn the script? I heard the action, the activity. We're willing to put the work into it.
Yeah.
Just want to learn the script and get the best juices flowing out of your information. How can I capture that?
Yeah, I mean, at its simplest version, whoever you work with can certainly get you any piece of any kind of training or information or whatever it is you want. I don't know who you work with specifically, but if you're looking for what I do specifically, if you just go to tracker.johnwetmore.com, all of this stuff is in there, including the script portion, like what I say to clients. Again, you can, if you like anything of mine, it's all over the internet, YouTube, and all kinds of shit. But start in the tracker, and then who do you work with directly?
Harmeet is the one who invited us.
Got it. I don't know who that is, but if you connect with them, we have a lot of people who work here. So if you have any trouble, get with one of us. We'll point you in the right direction. But they can get you involved in like the training schedule and getting on the calls at the right times and all the things like the system per se. That
Yes.
Get with him. He can get you on all of this stuff that we all have organized. As Mike said, we all kind of share in helping each other with the different trainings schedule that he shared at the beginning. So just connect with them. They can get you plugged into all the emails and texts and all those things. But again, if you want the tracker, it's just tracker.johnwetmore.com.
But is there somebody in the team who can sit down and actually give us the education?
Yeah.
Like kind of like what we do in 101?
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Absolutely. Anybody else got anything I can help with? Or I can cover anything if you want to change gears, whatever y'all want. The show is y'all's. Don't be shy. I get frustrated when people pretend they don't have questions.
Okay, I'll do one more question.
Perfect.
I keep seeing all the numbers. I've watched tons of videos. Couldn't sleep for like 24 hours, and I've been watching all the videos.
I love it.
All the numbers are legit. 50,000, 100,000 a month. I mean, is this really happening?
I mean, do you think we're making it up and putting it on the internet?
No. What I'm saying is I'm fired up. I just can't wait to get signed up to figure out what I need to do.
Yeah.
That's all.
I'm excited. We sell a lot of insurance at this company, bro. And there's a lot of people that have that are doing really big things. It's not unique to any one of us by any means. You know, we all have different levels of skill set, but there's a gang of people that have figured out that you don't really have to be that amazing to do what we do. You know, you just have to be willing to help people, be willing to work really hard, and certainly study your craft to some extent. There's nothing necessarily special. It might be unordinary, right? It might not be the norm. And I promise if we show you the full leaderboard, there's way more at the bottom that don't make shit than the ones at the top that make a bunch. But there's so many at the top making a bunch. There's a clear difference between the two sides of the coin. And if you watch or listen to anybody who trains on any of this, by far the number one commonality with everyone who's killing it here is they work harder than the people that are broke. It's not even close. And all the other skill set stuff, again, we have so many people that train and teach on it. Everybody's good at different things. So there's going to be plenty of people on here week in and week out that are better at some things than I'm at. You know what I mean? Some things I suck at too. So plenty of opportunity, bro.
I didn't know you guys exist because I killed through all my warm leads for the past 90 days and I only got like 2 people closing on me. We made
Yeah.
about 30 grand, but it's not as exciting as what I'm hearing from your end. I
Yeah.
wish I had this information a couple months ago. I would have
Yeah.
not killed all my
Just
warm
be
leads.
glad it isn't taking you 2 more years to get the information. So now you have it today and go do something with it, brother.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
All right, my man. Who else needs help?
Anyone else? Any other questions?
Yo, John, I just wanted to say I don't exactly have a question, but I wanted to say thank you because I'm a little bit under the weather right now, so I'm in bed, but
Yeah.
definitely wanted to hear what you were saying today. And man, last week was not great, but hearing everything you said today was like, dude, it's all the brain fog, everything you were saying, everything in between here is the problem of what stops the action to be able to continue moving forward to get the results that we're looking for. So thank you so much for putting it in that perspective every single time, man. Every single time.
Happy to help.
John, I got a
Thank you.
question.
Go ahead, bud.
I'm trying to think of how to phrase it. So, and I apologize if you already answered it. Say you get like 30 leads a week, right? Say 30, 50, whatever. Like what I do, I like to close out all of my leads, but like, do
What
you
does
just
that mean?
hammer your
Close
30?
out.
What's
What is
up?
What is that? What do you mean by close out your leads?
Like
What do you
if some, like just like,
resolve them?
yeah, resolve them.
Yeah. Okay.
Say like I have over the course of a month, I have 100 still open or 50 still open. Are you just hitting those every single day? Or are you only dialing like your new leads? Like, cause sometimes I think, yeah, I'm dialing a lot, but it'll be like a lot of like old leads, like 40-day old leads. And you know, the
Do you
chances of me
only
getting,
get 30 leads a week?
what's up?
You only get 30 leads a week?
No.
How many do you get a week?
It depends. I'm on inbounds right now and then 30 vet leads.
How much do you sell in a month?
This month will be right under 30K.
Okay. April, not bad. Yeah, I think to answer your question, there's no perfect answer, right? Because people want to go, how many times and how long do you follow up with leads? I'm a big fan of making sure I get enough. Here's the thing. What's funny about me is I know my numbers, I understand things. I prefer easy sales if I can get them.
Mm-hmm.
I also understand that if I get enough leads, there's going to be more sales that are easier. And statistically, the more often I call someone that doesn't pick up, the less likely they're going to pick up the next time. Right? It's very, very clearly diminishing returns. Right? The more I call when they don't answer, the less likely, like meaning if I took my pickup rate's 7%. Okay. Remember I said half my leads don't pick up. If I took only the leads that didn't pick up in March and I start calling them again, do you think my pickup rate is going to be better or worse than 7%? I only am calling the people who don't pick up.
Much worse.
It's going to be much worse, right? So my time is not as valuable calling older leads as it is newer leads, right? Now, if you ain't got no damn money, you do what you got to do. I was taught a few things. You need new leads to you every week. You don't necessarily need new leads. I was also taught that new leads don't make you good, for those of you that are wondering. Like if you suck and you call new leads, it's going to be an expensive education because you still suck on a new lead, right? And so for me, the first thing I thought of is John Wetmore couldn't do shit with 30 leads a week. That's not enough for me to do my job as a career. I can't 30 leads doesn't give me 40 hours worth of work to do. Now, I ain't mad at people who do inbounds, but typically people are sitting around kind of twiddling their thumbs waiting for the next call to come in, especially depending on the lead vendor you use, waiting for the next one to come in that doesn't think it's a free government program, right? So I'm a big fan of controlling my destiny more so also. And I've also learned over the years, Nick, that there's no magic trick to this game. You're going to do the work. I don't care who's, and I love File. Dude, I don't care who says they have the next magic lead. You're going to have to work your fucking face off to get rich. It just is what it is, right? And so for me, what I want more importantly than anything is a steady flow of new names and numbers to call. That's what's most important to me. If I get 30 over the course of a week, that means I only get 4 to 5 new phone numbers a day that are flowing into my world. There's only so much I can work on 4 to 5 people in a day. There's only so many times I can call them before I'm like, I could recite their voicemail before I call it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is Betty Lou. You know what to do. You know what I mean? Like, dude, how many times do you have to hear it before it's like, okay? And I'm a big fan of triple dialing. I'm a big fan of triple dialing multiple times in a day. So for me, I'm going to take a lot of energy and effort trying to contact someone that's a new lead in the first 48 hours. I'm going to hammer them so many mother effing times, dude. I'm going to find out quick if they're going to pick up or not. I'm just not concerned with how many times I call them in a short window. I heard someone, and again, no offense if you teach this. I heard someone today ask me if I should wait 24 hours before I call them because their upline said they should let the leads cook for a day before they call them. I think that's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life. And I apologize if you're on here teaching that. Again, for me, if it's working, keep doing it. But for me, I'm like, what? You know, so most importantly, Nick, I want to make sure that the flow, why? I don't want to feel excruciating. I already know 93 out of 100 aren't going to pick up. If I call the guy, again, if I call a lead, I don't know, 10 times the first day and 10 or 15 times the second day, it's 25 times in 2 days. Dude, 40 days from now, I shouldn't still be calling that guy if I'm playing the game right. Now, do some people in here have to buy age leads because their money sucks? Yes. Well, you learn how to get to the next level of the game. Stop playing level 1. There's level 2, there's level 3, there's level 4. There's different ways to play the game. For me, I like flow, I like steady flow, and I like new voicemails. I like talking to new people because the odds go up that I'm going to close them. You know, and also I can look at it and go, do I leave some meat on the bone? Yeah, I do. There's plenty of money behind John Wetmore. Why? Dude, I'm looking for the easier ones. I'd rather pay more to have more pickups today than save a few bucks to potentially squeeze every penny out of a batch of leads. I'm not looking for that. I don't need to be the most efficient on a lead batch. I want quick money. I want to flip it quick. I want new leads quick. And then for me, the way I recover that is I'm always building, recruiting, getting other agents started. Dude, I let them work the leads for me. There's zero chance John Wetmore's calling a lead after 2 weeks. Literally zero. There's zero chance I'm calling that fucker after 2 weeks. Why? I have too many new leads coming in. I'm never going to, I just dial off the Google sheet. I don't use any apps or anything. It just file shit, go in the Google sheet, and I start at the bottom and I call up. Right? So as it fills, I'm calling up. I got enough leads coming in. Dude, I'm not going to hit that 2 week mark. If I do, it says I don't have enough lead flow. But again, keep in mind for those, I want to clarify, I'm not calling the lead once in the morning, once in the afternoon, and maybe once tomorrow just to not bother them. Dude, I'm whacking their phone. Does that make sense? So I can play that game and not have to call back 2 weeks. Someone in here is going to hear it wrong and go, well, John says he doesn't call leads after 2 weeks and only make 32 dials this week. I don't play that game. You know what I mean? I play aggressive, I play fast, I play consistent as shit, and I go, let me take this quote unquote batch and move the F on. Now, do you not now the spreadsheet, think about this. I color code mine when I work with them. So if I sell it, I highlight it green, right? If they tell me to F off, I highlight it red. And if I miss the sale, it's blue. It's just the way mine works. So you can picture like there's going to be colors in my spreadsheet. So I only call the white ones that have no color, right? And then the green ones are the sold ones. If I show, actually, I'm going to show it so I can get this point across. What I want to help people understand is what messes up people that are working leads is, let me see. All right, so shit, I haven't called in weeks. Hold on, I'm going to share this screen. So I want you to just pay attention for green. They turn red automatically after 2 weeks because that's, again, I'm not calling them. Right? So I start at the bottom and I call up. So I want you to see, remember, y'all saw my return on investment.
We
correct?
can't see the screen.
It's not, hold on. Share, sorry. You see it now?
Yep. I can see it.
Now keep in mind, y'all saw the return on investment, right? 500%. Okay? You saw how much money I've made. You saw the call. You saw the close rate. You saw everything. Remember, green or sold. Okay? I want you to just pay attention to the green ones. If I scroll up on my leads, this is this year's leads. There's one there. There's one there. There's one there. One there. Now look, there's 3 out of 4. But here, look how many I went without making a sale. I went 42 leads without a sale.
You know what happens right there, John? That's when people say, this lead vendor sucks. I'm going to go find someone else.
Correct.
They start chasing down another lead vendor.
What happens here when they close 3 out of 4?
They call, they're fired up. They think it's great. I get scared.
You know what I mean? But look how infrequently, now sometimes look, there's 3 out of like 10 right here. There's another one. Ooh, a couple more. Look at this big gap. Look at that big gap. No sales here.
This batch sucks.
Dude, $26 a phone call, bro. I don't care. Right? Just green. All we're paying attention is green. Look. A little closer. You know what I mean?
John, you know what's even worse? Like you had
3 in a row, bro. Look, I got 3 in a row, dude.
You had 30 or 40, but what about people that buy like 20 lead packs a week? They can go 2 weeks without getting a sale on buying that few of leads.
I'm playing a different game. I don't like that game.
Yeah,
again, if I think about this file, let's say you get 20 a week. Does the average person like cap it per day, or do they let it wide open?
A lot of people cap per day, which is not good. You should just leave it wide open and get them all.
Correct. So let's say you take 30 a week. And I did this example earlier for those of you that missed it. That's only 5 a day over 6 days. Right? Let's say you do it in 5 days, it's 6 a day. 6 a day, 5 days, 30 leads. Now, if you have capped at 6 a day and you turn them on at 8 a.m., you got only 2 things happen. Either you get all of them between 8 and 8:12. That happens sometimes, depending on how many states you have. Or you get one at 8, you get one at 9:32, you get one at 11:14, you get one at 1:07, you get one at 4:32, and you get one at 6 p.m. Mm-hmm. Dude, if you call the one at 8, now what do you do until the one at 9:30 comes in? Call age leads? Fine, call age leads. What you'll never get is the feeling of calling a lot of new leads all in one small period of time, right? If you're doing one new lead at a time and then you deal with your old batch and this guy tells you to fuck off and you go to old leads, it feels like everyone tells you to fuck off. You don't get to feel what I feel. Now, if you turned on 30 and you got them all in 24 hours, 36 hours, dude, you have new people to call all the time. You're busy all day. Now, you don't have anything to do on Wednesday, right? But if you get 30 new leads coming in at a quick pace, you now have people to call without these gaps. And now you feel what I feel. You're going to feel more people pick up and be in line and be like, yeah, I filled that out. Damn, we've been waiting for you to call. What took you so damn long? You know what I mean? Like this shit happens. You get more laydowns when you get a quicker pace of new leads coming in. And what I always see with new agents, Mike, is they never feel what I feel.
Yeah.
Because they just sprinkle them. Because they think the lead batch is supposed to have some certain ROI. I'm like, nah, dude, it only works in the law of large numbers. And 30 is not a large number. It just doesn't give you the advantage for the averages to kick in, Nick. It just doesn't, dude. It doesn't do the same thing, you know? And I know some people are playing this game where they have no money and they have to. Well, there's a different plan there. It's like work the age leads as much as you can in as short a window as you can, and take as much of your first deposit as you can and put that shit into new leads so you can get off the hamster wheel. The insurance hamster wheel that most of y'all are on sucks ass. But most of you choose to be on it because you get paid $1,000 in a commission, and now you have a decision to make with that $1,000. And the decision is leads or something else. Period. And most of y'all choose something else, and whatever crumbs are left over, you invest into your business. And then you feel this shitty feeling of nobody to call, everybody's hanging up on me, I can only buy age leads, these leads suck. So for me, dude, even though I said I only get like 50, 75 leads in a week, 75, whatever, 75 to 100, I get 50 to 75 final expense and 25 vet. Dude, I'm calling those in a short window. I'm not spreading that process out over 7 days. I get a shit ton of them in a day or two. I work the snot out of them. I make my money and I move on to something else that I'm doing because I got 7,000 things going on, So yeah, for me, it's more about the feeling that you feel every day that most people, that gets them going down this shitty rabbit hole of the mental madness. Does that help, Nick? I know I kind of went on a rant a little bit because I get frustrated.
Yeah, absolutely. But with that being said, like, so you'd rather front load the week? Like, it's not like you'll do
Yes.
on like a Monday and then like you're like
bro.
$5,000 I'll buy.
I'd rather do both if I'm in your position.
Yeah.
But I like to front load it because I want you to feel how different it is. Now, again, can you get 35 leads in 2 days and not sell anything? Yes, dude, it happened. I just showed you it happens. Right? So the more consistently we can do that, the more likely the averages kick in for you. Again, people go lead batch, dude. I wish we could rewind time, Mike, and take the same 30 leads and dial them today, and then see how the result was, and then go back in time and take the same 30 leads with all 30 people in a different spot in life, a different attitude, a different mentality, different things going on, and recall them. You would have different results. And I think too many people put these broad representations of leads on everything. And it's like, dude, just sometimes the wind is blowing the wrong way. And when you called Steve, he was pissed off. If you called him tomorrow, maybe he wouldn't have been pissed off. And I'm not saying wait till tomorrow. I'm just saying sometimes it's shit luck timing. And sometimes it's really good timing that someone's just sitting around waiting for you to call to buy. You have to take the good with the bad. And that's why I learned to understand the averages, because I don't go through the emotional roller coaster anymore that I did when I was new. Because again, for me, when I'm emotional, fair to say when I'm negative up here, I always like to do it like this. If we went to another country and they spoke a language none of us speak, fair to say, Nick, you would be able to tell instantly if someone was pissed off.
Yeah.
Why? How would you know? You don't speak the same language.
Just tonality or
Okay.
body language.
Okay. So if you're pissed off about your leads, do you really not believe the person on the other end of the phone can't tell? Like, come on. And do you not think if you sound miserable and emotional that it affects your ability to sell?
100%.
Of course it does. So you not playing the game right causes you to be emotional, and you being emotional causes you to close less than if you could have just controlled your emotions. Calling the same batch of leads, you're going to have a different result based on the way you're being. Who wants to talk to a foul-ass insurance agent? And most of y'all bring this shit on yourselves because you're playing the game with the wrong expectations, and you don't know your numbers, and you don't know how many phone calls equal $1. Again, if you know how many phone calls equal $1 and how many pickups equal money, you no longer care what they say on the other end of the phone. And I've proven that my entire career by just going, if I gave you 10 grand a week wired into your account, no matter what anyone said, but you had to do 2,000 phone calls a week, would you do it? But you can't be sad once. If you're sad once, there's a little collar on your neck, like the Garmin thing or the Apple Watch. It reads your pulse. And if you get frustrated once, you don't get any money. But you get 10 grand if you stay calm all week. Would you stay calm? Why? How could you stay calm all week if everyone tells you to F off? Oh, because John's going to wire you 10 grand. Got it. Which says to me, all of you can fucking control it. You're just choosing not to. Because it's hard. I'm not confused it's hard. I'm emotional. As you can see, I get riled up. I also get pissed off. You know what I mean? I'm human too. But I learn how to not let it affect me long term and not let it linger. And a lot of y'all carry that in throughout the whole day, throughout the whole week, throughout the whole month. Some of you throughout the year. Some of y'all been here for years and are still playing the same stupid game. You know? And it's just like, why are you doing this to yourself? It's torture. And I did it. I scream it so loud because I wish early on, when I was finally taught this, I had a couple people really mentor me early. It gave me some insight. And I was like, why didn't someone tell me this shit sooner? That none of the other stuff matters really. It doesn't carry anywhere near the same weight. You know, and when I understood how to play the game differently, dude, I have killed it since. It's been 11 years now since I kind of flipped a switch one day. And again, I went from being very mediocre to overnight selling 40K a month. Just because I changed the way I looked at the business. You know, and again, not to say I didn't have emotional days in my head, but it didn't ever linger and it didn't ever affect my monthly output.
Hey, John, when you first reached out for help from Mark back in the day, didn't he laugh at you?
That was in person. Yeah. So I didn't really know him
Mark
at the time.
Me?
Yeah.
I figured that's who you're talking about.
Oh, who was that talking? I only see iPad. Was he talking to us or did he unmute by mistake? I don't know who that is.
No, he was talking to us. I don't know who it is.
Oh, got it. That question was to me, I assume, because you know the story.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it was our first convention, dude. And I went up to him and asked him a question. I didn't reach out because I didn't know him or have his phone number. He was just a dude who opened the convention, you know, and obviously I saw his name on leaderboards. And he was selling 40K a month. And I'm like, dude, I don't know how to, I'm stuck at 12 on average. I don't know how to get to 20. And he's like, dude, you don't have enough leads or appointments. I bet you. And I'm like, dude, I have leads and appointments. He's like, leads and appointments. I'm like, what time do you call them? He's like, bro, it's leads and appointments. But what kind of leads? Dude, it's leads and appointments. But what day do you call? Dude, leads and appointments. How many times do you lead? And I was asking all these other questions. And he was just like, it's leads and appointments, you know? And then when he asked how many appointments I run because I'm a nerd and I tracked my numbers my whole career. My answer at the time, this is back in the day. Some of us used to go to people's houses to sell insurance for a living. And so we'd go in direct mail and go in the field. And he asked me how many appointments I was running. And in 2014, my average was 42 a month. 42 appointments a month. Appointments, not present, booked appointments, dude. So 10 and a half a week booked. So I'm seeing like 5 a week, 6 a week, whatever it was. So I tell him 42 a month on average. And literally, dude, for those of you that know Mark, like his personality and his laugh is just very custom to him. He literally belly laughed in my face. And not to be mean, but it was comical to him that I was confused so deeply that I only scheduled 10 appointments a week and only presented my product to the world 4, 5, 6 times a week. He thought it was comical that I wanted to make 250 grand doing this extremely part-time. In my head, I was full-time because this was my only job, bro. But he in that belly laugh, he taught me a lot. And then he asked me the most important question of my career was, why do you expect my result with your work ethic?
Look at Jesse.
And I didn't have an answer. And then I went back and looked at my numbers. And again, if you look in the book chapter 4 of this sucker. So if I go chapter 4, the title, if you see it, chapter 4, y'all can see that. It's 17, the number that changed my life. And I took my numbers for that year, the 42 appointments a month and how many phone calls I was making and how much insurance I sold. And I did the concept of I took the amount of insurance divided by how many phone calls I made. And that year, although I was only running 42 appointments a month and I was selling like 12 grand a month, so I was making like 6, 8 grand a month, whatever. My average turned out it was $17 a phone call that year. I made 17 bucks a phone call in 2014. I just didn't do a lot of phone calls. And so in 2015, the reason the book is titled what it's titled is I was always trying to solve how to get better on 42 appointments a month. I wanted to know exactly what script, exactly what carrier, exactly what lead type to on 42 appointments a month, make 250 grand. I was trying to get so good at my craft on minimal effort that I made a bunch of money and I was on stage and I was rich. And when he did that and he laughed at me and he kind of pointed out that I was seeing, he let me see things I didn't see. And I learned I was making 17 bucks a phone call that year. I said, what if I just try the concept instead of trying to get better at everything? What if I just say, fuck it, and I go do a whole bunch more of it? And I just accept who I am. I'm just a $17 phone call. I had a 40% close ratio at the time. I probably was rounding up because it was probably 34. You know what I mean? I'm rounding up my close ratio, maybe be 40%. And I was like, what if I try it? Because I've been in the business 2.5 years at that point. And I'm like, what if I just fuck it, go just try to do a shit ton more of this and see what happens. And I'll worry about getting better another day. I'll just flip the order. I'm not saying don't study. I'm not saying don't try to get better. But what if the number one priority was do a shit ton more? What if? And that was my 2015. And that opened up the door to everything y'all see today with whatever you see on my stuff. I issued again nearly 500 grand on my own pen that year. And then I started building the team. And since that day, we've done over $1 billion in issue paid production in my team from one concept.
Very good, Kendall.
Why would I do it any different? Why would I do anything any different if one change led to all this? You know, so I just scream it, bro, because it's the most important thing and it's the easiest one for people to fix. Because no offense to anyone, I promise you, if you track your numbers, 98% of people in this room, their activity level is trash. No offense, but I promise you. And if you look at it and you saw yours, most of you know that already. But if you put it down on paper and you start saying the numbers out loud and sharing them with other people that are rich, you'll be disgusted with yourself and you know it. And I had to experience that. And I was a mediocre agent for 2.5 years. So I feel like, Jesse, I have a card that excuses me and allows me to be really direct with the mediocre agents we all got. Because I want people to change their life and turn it around like I did. You know what I mean? And I the one thing nobody can take away from me, dude, I've messed up a lot, bro. And I got a lot of help learning how to do this industry. I got a lot of help. A lot of people poured into me over the years. But I did the fucking work. You know, and no one can take that away.
Awesome. John, where can they go if they're interested in the book?
Just johnwetmore.com/book, actually. John Wetmore.
And the tracker's on there as well, right?
Yeah, tracker.johnwetmore.com is direct.
Awesome.
Yep. If
John, I appreciate you. John's going to do another training on Thursday. We're going to put that out.
Yeah.
So if anyone's interested in jumping on that, we'll put out the information on that. But everyone have a great night. We'll see you guys this week, and let's crush it this month. Take care.
There you go.